some type of moral, man. Something gotta give, man.
Yeah, there's got to be some balance where I just can't sell my soul. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're willing to let your kids die, at that point, you sold your soul.
Yeah.
Sold your soul. Like,
yeah.
They can say all you want to. People are equally jacked up across the world, but you can't give jacked up people access to guns. How can you? So that kid couldn't go and buy a Mad Dog 2020 at the gas station, but he can buy AR-15.
Bro, it's crazy. Like, it ain't like the thing with some of these shootings and everything, it ain't like they got little regular handguns. Like, they got full-on arsenals. Like, what? Like, what's the logic when someone's really coming in to buy that? Like, what you getting
like,
for,
what
bro?
you need this for? What do you need? You ain't even graduated high school. What do you need this for? And they all leave breadcrumbs about what they're about to do, and we just hang around and let this shit happen.
It's insane.
Well, and I concluded is that profits mean more to us than our babies.
Yep. It don't. The thing about it, it never hits home until it never. I guess it doesn't hit home for them because they don't see it as this can possibly happen to me.
Exactly. Which I don't know. Like, I dropped my daughter off at school today. I was like, is she even safe?
Bro.
Because guess what? That school had the locks and everything. You go up to your kid's school, you can't just walk in. You got to buzz in.
Yeah.
They got all that, and they still 21 people dead.
It's kids, man. Like you said, it's kids. Like, it's one thing, I don't know, like when these situations somewhat happen with adults, it's like, okay, the adult, like they can somewhat fend for themselves, possibly, but like a kid, man, like they're innocent.
They're innocent, and so their life has changed forever. I think about some of the challenging things I've experienced in my life, the tough places I've experienced, and I grew up relatively in a safe environment. There was a lot of racism around me, but I didn't fear for my life. And I've never been in a situation where I've been around guns, but I've never been held at gunpoint. So I can't imagine being, fourth grade, 10 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, and bullets is flying, and you trying to figure out, and you look at your teacher because that's the source of power, and she's scared out of her mind.
Like, yeah, dude. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like most kids they have no understanding, like you said, no understanding of that. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some kids that, again, like their parents may like hunt and stuff like that. So they have somewhat of, I don't even know then, like you have just a concept of guns and like just the whole concept of guns, but you don't have a concept of that situation. Yeah. What's going on. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was crazy. I didn't even know about it. My wife came home and I heard her. We have a friend, actually. We're going down. Matter of fact, this weekend we're going down to San Antonio to visit one of her friends for the weekend. And so, like, she called her friend just to kind of see, like, they're in San Antonio. But then we also have a good friend who's a teacher up in like Melissa, and like she just called her and like see if she had heard the news and everything. Because again, like it's like folks who are close to that situation. Folks who is a teacher. So it's like, damn, like this could happen to for us someone very close to us, and it's like, why? Yeah. And it's just, I think about, you and I, we got dreams, we got plans and stuff. These are people who had dreams and plans. Summer was for the kids. I got 2 weeks before summer starts. With parents, they're thinking, all right, we got these plans for the summer. We're going to take this family vacation, or we building. They think about all these things, and then your life gets derailed just like that because somebody decided that it was worth taking your life because they're not happy with their life or for whatever reason. It's nonsense, man. So to me, it just says we have no choice as humans to live. Why would we hold back living when we ain't promised tomorrow? So, man, and again, just looking at, like you said, like that young of an age, you're not even promised. Like,
no.
It's a wild one, bro. It's a wild one.
It is. So I'm gonna catch everybody up on our relationship. This is the Space and Equity Come Correct podcast, where we're all about increasing assets and creating new space. We're here today with Caron, Bracy. We call him Bop. Everybody on the football team had a nickname. There's not a Division I team in the country that doesn't have a full set of names and the full set of names your teammates called you. So I don't even know. Tell me, how did Bop start? How did that start?
Dude, your boy T Weezy. T Weezy gave me the name, which I feel like he probably gave like 50% of the names on our team.
Yes,
at least. At least.
So how did he come up with Bop?
Dude, yeah. So I want to say he said there was a scrimmage that we had where, again, playing strong safety. You know, we had, as far as I think they did some type of sweep or maybe option play. And again, we were about filling that alley. Yeah. My boy, I was talking to my boy Q not too long ago, and we were talking about that. And he said I came down the alley and bopped him. And he's like, from then on, bro, he's like, your name was Bop. Bop. Like, how you used to come down the alleys and just fill and clean up, bro. He's like, Bop. He gonna bop you.
So y'all, T Weezy is Terrence Williams, is a running back club. How many? He got like 5 Instagrams, all of them with 50,000 plus followers.
Yeah.
Terrence Williams played football with us at Wake Forest. He was running back there from 99 till 2003. I think T is still like top 5, top 7 in yards in Wake Forest history. And there's some big names there.
Yeah.
Anyway, T was the youngest in my class. So I was a class ahead of Caron, head of Bop. T was the youngest in our class, but he was like the only one of us that did not redshirt. He played immediately, had a great career, and now is training athletes that are going to the next level, training adults who just want to stay in shape, beast mode behavior. But we know him as T Weezy because he was the one that crowned everybody with nicknames. He was the jokester, but he played serious on that field.
Yeah.
Played real serious on that field.
Biggest heart ever, bro. Like that dude. I always just wondered, like, dude was probably 180 pounds soaking wet, about 5'6", 5'7", but dude ran like he was probably 226, 6 foot 220, man. And like he was just a monster. I always loved his like just passion for the game, bro. And he's carried that on like now into the whole beast behavior, everything that he's doing. I love watching it, man.
Absolutely. I feel you. So it's funny, before today, we have talked, of course you talk on social media, but I graduated in December of 2003. You graduated 2004, 2005. And we probably hadn't talked before you moved to Texas. You recently moved to Richardson, Texas, not even 2 months ago now. We hadn't talked face to face since 2000, maybe the bowl game in 2006 when cats went to the Orange Bowl. Yeah. So it's been a while. It's been a while, and there's a lot to catch up on. I'm gonna say this. I wrote down the records while I was there and while you were there, and I'm about to spell them out because we didn't win a lot of games, but you know, we have a lot of people that have transitioned from Division I competitive football to leading prosperous careers in many different ways. So I want to dive into that. So while I got there 99 redshirt, Coach Caldwell 7-5. 2-9, and they had to get Coach Caldwell out the paint. And that was your red shirt year, that 2-9. Yeah. I don't know what you were thinking when you're like, what did I come into?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Like, what? We the freaking Bad News Bears, bro.
Bad News Bears. So then Grove comes around. Our first year with Grove, we go 6-5. Don't go to a bowl game. Then we go 7-6, 5-7. That was my last year. And I think your last year, would y'all had 4-7?
Something like that. Somewhere around 4-7, 5-7, something like that.
So we didn't win a lot of games. But there's something. What did you learn from your experience at Wake that applies to your day-to-day life today?
Two things I would say. One, again, just balancing far as things. Most people don't understand far as, again, being a student athlete. And again, Wake Forest, it was an academic school. Most people don't know that. But yeah, I would say that was kind of the one thing, just understanding how to balance far as, again, the athletics and the school. definitely could have probably did a better job of that. Was more focused on the athletics. And then secondly, man, I think far as just building networks, it was cool for us, again, being in that environment. We probably had roughly around 80 to 100 folks on our team. And like you had people from all walks of life. I feel like, again, like there was no one on the team that like I just didn't get along and I just hated their guts or whatever. Like everybody, like I felt like I can somewhat relate to in some type of way. And I've carried that on as far as into the business world. Like networking is probably like one of the biggest things for me. Like I feel like that's what really has the world going around.
Amen, man. I didn't know what networking was before we got to Wake. And then I saw how our counterparts move, but then we realized we build relationships. And there's a lot of us today. I know you're going to speak to this a little bit later, but you're working with some of our former teammates and building that network. So speaking of that, you finish up, we have that realization that, man, maybe I ain't going to the NFL. I'm not going to the NFL. What do I do next? My transition was a little challenging, but I had to move quickly. When did you make that like, all right, I got to go corporate space, and then I'm going to go into the field you are today, which is recruiting the tech space? How did that happen?
Yeah, bro. Like, honestly, it's weird to say, like, for me, I always had two mindsets. Of course, like I always wanted, as far as the goal, of course, to play in the league, but like, I never had that mindset of where I feel most athletes are, to where like, if I don't make it to the league, it's like, damn, like what's next? Yeah. Like for me, I always thought about, far as again, after the league or sometime, whatever the transition period, like I was always interested in coaching. Okay. And so that was one of the, I guess I say one of the things that was able to allow me to transition probably a little easier. I stayed towards the game. Like, so after I finished up, had a couple tryouts and everything, even had tryouts for like CFL and like the Arena League. And like, honestly, I could have probably pursued that path to probably a little bit more stronger, but I was just like, I don't know, part of my head was just like NFL or bust, and like NFL wasn't happening. I wasn't willing to go through that long journey of like trying to go to another league, then make it there. So it was just like, I'm cool. Like it was crazy. It was like, I'm cool. And so I started coaching, which literally, honestly, like that was always one of my things. In high school, one of my best friends, Gus Scott, played ball at Florida, went on, played in the league for a couple years, played for the Patriots and a couple other folks. Like in high school, bro, we were drawing up plays and everything, and we always talked about coming back and coaching. So of our whole bunch, so me and him graduated 2000. We had another group of guys that graduated like a year and 2 years after us. Like that was always our thing. And so I was the first one to actually come back and start coaching at our high school, Trinity Christian High School in Jacksonville. And of course, he was still playing ball. A couple of the other guys actually were still playing ball in the league. When they finished up, I was pretty much, it was weird. Like that's the one thing I do miss out. As they were coming back to coach, I was transitioning, moving actually out to California. So we never really got to coach together, like me, at least with them. So now those guys took over, I want to say in like 2006, 2007, somewhere up in there. And man, like our high school, like now it's one of the top high schools in Jacksonville, probably in the country. Like they're producing freaking 5 to 10 like D1 athletes every year. And like those dudes are doing like a ton of it. They're all back there coaching. They actually started like a organization where they do the training and everything like as well. So it's been cool, man, just watching them, and like that allowed me to really transition to as far as the corporate space. So moving into tech recruiting, it was actually Warren, who Brax, as we call him. He was working at a company, Aerotech. And we all, of course, me and Brax was super close. We always talked and everything. And so again, whenever we would catch up, we would talk about our jobs. And at that point in time, I was doing outside sales, selling like the point of sale systems, like in restaurants and like things of that nature, small companies. And so when at the time, a girlfriend, wife now, we decided to move out to California. She was working at Stanford. I was looking for a job out there and came across Aerotech again. And I'm like, let me talk to this dude, see what like this really is about. And actually, Tim Bennett was actually, I don't know if he's still there, but he actually came back on one of the career days, like going into our senior year, and talked to us about it. But again, like I wasn't in the right mindset at that time. I was all about, far as again, I'm making it to the league, bro. What are you talking about? Aerotech. So he was big time there as well. Talked to Brax about it. I think he said he maybe reached out to, as far as the San Jose office, and talked to some of the folks there. I went and interviewed. And so my whole mindset going into it was actually to go into a sales role. So with recruiting, you have far as folks who actually recruit far as the actual engineers, and then you have folks who are on the sales side who are selling basically our services to companies. And so my whole mindset was like, I want to get back into sales and like run that route. But man, I had an opportunity, came in San Jose, California. So kind of tech mecca. I started out in the engineering space. Majority of the clients that I was working with were aerospace and defense company, which actually how the company started in Baltimore. But I had a chance, man. Like I started talking to engineers, and I was talking to folks who like were working on products that we use in our everyday life. I remember we went on a meeting, me and my buddy, who was like the sales guy at the time. We went to a small startup to where the guy, he was part of like the first, 10 or 15 people at, I think it was Stanford Labs or somewhere, where they were like the first 15 people to create far as the Ethernet. Okay. Like I was like, wow. Wait, what? Ethernet, bro? Like I use that. And so like when I was just talking to folks like that, man, I was like, I dig this. Like this is kind of what I want to do. So like I XY the whole like the whole sales route, and man, like it's stuck in as far as recruiting like the whole time.
Yeah. Damn. It's crazy how just these little pathways take us to where we are. You weren't even thinking about it fully while you're doing it. So
I had no clue of recruiting. Yeah. And the industry and everything, no clue about it.
Brax and you were good friends at Wake, and that was a little ripple that took you all the way to where you are today.
Bro,
and then you find out there's stuff that you didn't know that existed within yourself, as far as you're like, oh man, I enjoy that. I like that. You probably had that the whole time, but you didn't know what that was. I think about, for me in banking, so my dad was a physician, and it was always like, okay, I'm going to go be a doctor because my dad's a doctor. But that wasn't really, I didn't have a passion for it. That was just what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And then when it was same thing, NFL or bust, since the NFL wasn't going to work out, I wasn't going to go the other routes. I did a summer management program at Wake, probably going into my redshirt senior year. And then I realized, in banking, that's where people get money for their business. I really didn't know how that worked. I just thought somehow businesses, they had the money, they figured it out. I didn't realize that the bank was a big source of the capital. And then all this time, I've always truly enjoyed numbers, would run numbers in my head, put budgets together. Like I was working budgets while I was at Wake with my little, what's that bus we used to drive on campus?
Oh, what you talking about? A little bus like to get you to the apartment.
Yeah. What was that? Damn, because that's where I found out all the dirt. The dirt was found on that bus. It's gonna make me mad, Bob, that I can't remember.
I'll try to think.
Damn. But anyways, I used to drive that bus. I used to dispatch that bus, and I would use that and working for Dr. Harrison's sociology department as my little spending money. I never wanted to be broke, even while we were broke. But come to find out, like, I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I was a businessman, and I understood that I had to have a budget to make sure I controlled expenses and got what I wanted. And that's what I still do today, just on a larger scale. So recruiting, you're with Aerotech for a while, and then you develop other relationships. What is that taking to you today in the corporate space? And then let's transition to what you're doing on the side to build your own empire.
Yeah, man. Again, it ties to, the networking piece once I got into the recruiting space. Really from that job on, man, like all of my jobs over. So I've been in the recruiting space. I got into it the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. And every job that I've had since then have been through like a network. So I spent about 4.5 years at Aerotech. One of the guys who worked with me at Aerotech, he was working out of a Seattle office. Mm-hmm. I met him at like a corporate training. Super cool dude, Tyler Beam. He ended up actually coming and working. He moved and started working out of our office in San Jose for, I don't know, a year or two. And then he left and went to a company, Barracuda Networks, that was pre-IPO. Went there, tapped me on the shoulder. Was like, man, I think this is a really good opportunity. He went over there and actually kind of helped start up the recruiting team, and he wanted to go back into sales, tapped me on the shoulder, brought me over. It was like really my first corporate, again, role, like in recruiting. And so came over there, man, it was an amazing opportunity and really probably set me on the path that I've been on. Had a chance. I came in as the senior recruiter there. Think in like 3 or 4 months, got promoted to a manager role. So I was managing a team like in that fluctuated anywhere from like 5 to 8 people. Mm-hmm. We were recruiting everything, actually tech as well as non-tech throughout the US for the company. I had an opportunity where I had to like come and bring in systems. And so like, it was just things that I never done and like had to think about when I was even at Aerotech. So that really kind of put me on my path from there. Again, I went in, I did a couple consulting jobs, worked at a few other startups. And then currently right now, I'm at another startup right now that actually yesterday, I didn't even know about it. The team told me yesterday was my year anniversary for the company that I'm at. It's a startup company called Rippling right now that does HR and IT software. So I've been there now for about a year, senior recruiter role, man.
And you got on the ground floor. So for those who don't know, our audience, when BOP refers to initial public offering or IPO, that means you have a firm that's starting up and they eventually want to take public funds. By taking public funds, it expands their operations, and also to the founders and those first on the ground, it puts some money in their pocket.
Yes, sir.
And to put some money on their pocket because you come in with equity. Because you think about this, when you're starting something, space and equity, I ain't got much to give you, but if you come on the ground floor, you get some equity here, get some equity there, and then when we blow up, all of a sudden people get rich and do well.
Yeah, long-term.
Probably nothing, I would imagine, even by your senior year. If you said IPO, would you have known what that meant?
I would have probably said, did you mean an IPA? Yes, I'll take one of those.
I'll take one of those too.
No, bro. No clue at all, man. Yeah, man. So yeah, just been exposed to a lot of this stuff now. As far as when back then, no clue at all. No clue at all, like how any of this operated. Like, again, like I said, I didn't even know about, far as the recruiting space, knew a little bit about HR, but like recruiting itself,
yeah.
Public company versus private company. I mean, I don't know what you really talk about.
Yeah. And the thing is, our counterparts in the business school did. So kids the same age, while the great thing about what we went through is this. We left school with no debt. We left school with a degree and no debt, and that flexibility that provides you is tremendous. We transitioned to what you're doing in real estate. I imagine that was beneficial. But what we missed on is the 4 years we were there, we didn't learn what the difference between a public traded company versus a private company was. We didn't know what an IPO was. We didn't know what the difference between debt and equity. We didn't understand what a capital stack was. You learn those things on the fly. And the great thing about being an athlete is that you got that competitive nature. Like, oh, you got that advantage on me? Guess what? You won't have that advantage for long. And what they don't realize is they think we just do all this with just our physical gifts because, these black beasts that have all these great giftings. But most of that shit happens in the classroom, in the film room. Because part of the reason why Bop was so great on the field was that he knew where the play was going, would recognize a play faster than most of his counterparts would recognize a play. So when you filled the alley and he was already there, you felt like, damn, I got Bop, because he already saw the play coming. But he saw the play coming because he could study film earlier than most of us could while we're playing. And so the disadvantages we have, we make up for that and then some with the advantages that we have in our competitive spirit, in our minds. Most great athletes, name a great athlete and tell me that they weren't gifted in their mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just can't do it. Yeah. All of the greats knew how to do it here before they did it here. In fact, most of the people that are just physically gifted, they kind of plateau pretty early.
Yep.
So
again, Father Time, they say Father Time is undefeated. And so those natural gifts, man, they're going to eventually go away. And so what are you going to fall back on? When you have far as that knowledge, it allows you to play the game far as longer, and it allows you to play the game by playing the game smarter, actually allows you to play the game even longer.
Absolutely. So we got First Legacy Real Estate, REI. Tell me about that. How did that come about? Who you working with? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, man. The name actually, because I know you asked me about that. The name was actually created by my wife, man. So we was on the whole, I guess, just investing journey for quite some time before we made any moves. I got into it actually, again, my boy Brax, he got into it heavy after college. He did very well at the company Aerotech. And I think he got into it with a couple partners, bought up. And I think most of his strategy was around as far as buying rental properties. I think at one point in time, we were talking that dude had got up to like 20 properties with him and some partners. And then he spun that also, I think, into having a property management company. He was like, why am I paying somebody else? I can do it myself and build out as far as a company, which I'm like, damn, cool. I always, man, I've been blessed to where growing up, far as again, my grandfather, entrepreneur, owned like a lawn service down in South Florida. And then going through high school, a couple of my high school coaches, they own different businesses. And so I always liked how they operated and was able to come and go. They was able to be at practice and, you know, without far as having to really answer to somebody to a certain extent, right? So that always intrigued me. And then again, Brax with far as the whole real estate piece intrigued me as well. And those coaches also own real estate as well. And we got into, I don't even know how I got a hold of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, read that. My director at Aerotech, he was actually an ex-athlete, played football at St. Mary's. And like, man, he actually, as far as this kind of mindset, really helped me actually just manage through far as transitioning to the corporate world as well. I think he maybe gave me that book. And then he also gave me a book, also a Donald Trump book, mind you, which was, again, just from a business standpoint, was cool. But yeah, man, that really set us up to where we, again, just kind of reading that book and thinking about far as the mindset, like just working a 9 to 5. I'm sorry, bro. Like that ain't going to get you, at least that's not going to get me to where I want to be. Like I always want far as in my whole thing now, when I talk about far as like what I'm really trying to go with everything is about freedom. Like freedom to me is being able to control my time. Like it ain't really about far as the money. The money, of course, is an avenue to allow you to do that. But like for me, the freedom is about being able to control my time and be able to do what I want to do. And so real estate, I feel, gives me far as that best path by having far as, again, just that cash flow, that residual income. So, man, for I want to say about 8 years or so, man, we were reading books. We were freaking going to different conferences and everything, dude. Like we were all into it, but fear, man, kept us from doing anything. Never wanting to pull the trigger. I finally made the decision. I remember I was actually working at company Fitbit, got laid off. I got a solid severance for them. So I was really just chilling. And so during that chill period, I just started listening to a bunch of podcasts. One of the podcasts that I still listen to, Bigger Pockets. I was just every day. Basically, my whole day I felt like I was back in college. Like I was literally waking up in the morning, go work out, and then like just listening to podcasts. I was semi looking for a job, but again, I knew I had time because as far as the severance that I got, that I wasn't really looking tough. I was kind of taking some time off. And like, what was it? It was March of 2017. I was like, bro, like, why don't I just do this? Like, what is holding me back? And so literally went on LegalZoom, got help setting up far as the whole company and everything. At that time, I had already started talking to like some realtors. So everything that I do is in Jacksonville. had already started talking to some realtors. One of my best friends, he's a licensed GC there. So I started talking with him. So I really started, again, networking, building not far as my team, because all of this I was doing is back in Jacksonville, but at this time I'm in California. Yeah. So I need to have boots on the ground, and I needed to far as have folks that I can trust. So literally, man, that year, I guess 2017, I didn't do any deals. I was looking for deals, still probably gun shy. It was probably some deals that I could have done that I was just like, nah, that's a little too scary. And then finally, 2018, I think that year I ended up doing maybe 2-3 deals tops. Got linked up. So I got linked up. Actually, one of the realtors linked me up with a mortgage broker who put me in contact with a couple like hard money lenders and everything, that they actually referred me to a guy who's a project manager. Linked up with him, and like we probably ran together for about 3 years, where he was managing all the projects and everything for me. Again, like I still was checking on him, because I always say checking ain't cheating. You ain't finna get over on me. But I would have, as far as like, again, my buddy look over things. I had connected with other contractors also at this time. So I would, like, whenever he would give me estimates and things of that nature, I would have them look over it, as well as just doing research on myself, Yeah, bro, it just got rolling. But the wife was really kind of the one with the whole Dangerous First Legacy. Our whole thing was like, we want to, again, somewhat be like far as, again, white folks, to where, again, like I want to leave a legacy for my kids. Like, I feel like it's weird to me where we always talk about like getting it out of the mud and like, oh yeah, like we grind it, but it's like, that ain't just super. Like, if that's what you got to go through, yes, that's cool. But also, like, I would love a nice, easy path every now and then, like to get things going. And so I think for us setting our kids up, man, for success, that's kind of what we want to do. And that's kind of how the whole name just spun off.
Awesome. I heard when you were saying, you're in California, all your real estate projects are in Jacksonville. So those partnerships, that trust was key. How do you solidify the trust? What is Bob's formula to making sure I got the right team in place?
Bro, it's crazy. I think with it comes back to recruiting. Like with recruiting, I'm on the tech side. So didn't go to school for engineering or anything. So when I'm talking to folks, I usually, again, I'm partnering and talking with hiring managers. I want to get a basis of, like, again, understanding of what these folks are going to be doing. I always tell people, like, hey, dumb it down to me. Like, if you can explain to me and like make me understand, when someone else is talking to me, like I can see if they're understanding me or they're bullshitting me. And so I really take, far as, again, a lot of the knowledge that I've learned in recruiting on how I just, again, recruit and decipher out far as who's a good engineer and who's going to work for this company. I use far as those same things when, again, looking at and recruiting far as, again, folks who are going to quasi be on my team. So it's really kind of like, again, I'm using far as those various interview like tactics and practices that I've learned throughout far as my career in this far as arena, far as on the real estate side. So really talking to them, understanding, like, one, what they want to get out of things. My whole thing, again, is about building relationships. So you can tell when talking to folks about, like, just how they operate, who they're continuing to work with, if they're like transactional or their relationship. And like, that's probably one of the hardest things with contractors. Most of those dudes are short-minded. They're looking at, far as, again, the dollar right now. And so, like, that's why, again, sometimes like they're giving crazy prices in regards to like their bids. And so I always tell people, man, I believe in, far as on my team, the folks who work with me, I tell them everybody eats, man. Like, so everybody got to eat, B. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, like, don't think about far as this one deal. Like, somebody may have to give something up on this deal to help far as, again, this be a deal. And again, no, far as, again, we're going to have other opportunities down the line where, far as you scratch my back, I'm going to scratch your back. So I really look for folks like kind of in that like realm who have that same kind of mindset. Majority of folks, man, that I've been working with now literally have been people that I've been working with for like the last 3 to 4 years. Again, I ain't saying we haven't had our issues, but those are things that also that we can talk through and work through to figure out, again, how we can kind of continue to better our relationship together.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Everybody, I hear this theme time and time again, especially for entrepreneurs, is I can't deal with you if you're transactional. It's got to be a relationship. What is it about? But then there's still so many people on the ground that are transactional. What are they missing?
Short-minded, bro. Again, unfortunately, a lot of people want to get into, I feel a lot of people get into running their own business because like really they don't want to answer to anybody.
Yeah.
That can't be your only reason, like to be far as again, the boss, as they say, like, man, it's a lot that goes into it. You probably putting in more hours than you would at say a regular 9 to 5.
Yes.
But also like you're responsible possibly for other people, but you're responsibly like you eat what you kill. And so a lot of those folks get, I think, very short-minded to where like, okay, I'm struggling right now. Like the income may not be coming in like I want. And right now with social media, everybody want to live outside as far as their means or paint as far as better picture of the entrepreneur life. Man, I tell people, bro, I got these gray hairs and stuff like entrepreneur life is real.
It is real.
But everybody paint far as like this fake, I don't know. I feel like a fake picture to where like, oh, like you big balling and bro. No, not at all. So I think that short-mindedness gets caught up to them where like, I got to get every dollar right now because I don't know where my next meal is coming from. To where like, nah, bro, like I said, like, all right, you killed today. All right, you can have a big piece of the pie. You can have a big piece of chicken. But again, like on another deal, like, man, in order to make this work, and for anybody to be able to eat, like you got to give something, I got to give something. Yeah. Some people, again, like they just don't have that mindset. It's just like, oh no, like I got this, I got to have this right now. Bro, that's going to have you very short time in parts of the business, whatever business that you're in.
Absolutely. The principles that exist within corporate America apply so much to entrepreneurship, because if you think about it, you're somebody else in corporate space. Somebody else was the entrepreneur that got that thing started. And so they're in the same boat. The guy on the top, per se, is eating what they kill. And I think some of us get lulled to sleep when we got that salary, like, oh, I'm safe. Not really. Not till you're not producing enough. So it just exposes it more on the entrepreneurship side. And I agree with you. It's that short-sightedness and not realizing that at the end of the day, if I make this relationship work, I'm going to keep on eating. Because look, if that person is a grinder and they're going to go find the next deal and the next deal and the next deal, they'll feed me as long as I keep on doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That being said, beyond the holding people accountable, partnership with friends, how does that work when we're mixing money and friends, business and friends? And sometimes it's not necessarily just friends. It's a long-term relationship. It could be family. How does that work?
Bro, I think we kind of briefly talked about this in our lunch, man, to where, I don't know, our culture, we've been taught don't mix business with family or business with friends, to where if you look at most the billionaires, like they're owned by families, the Waltons, all of these folks, like they're family. So it's a family business. And so I don't know. I think it's just kind of what's been put in our head as a culture. And I think partly, again, as far as our just history, to where they've combated us against each other, to where we don't trust each other, to where like, nah, bro, like I'm not saying, and when I say that, I'm not saying that you can do business with every family member and every friend. Like, no, like they got to have, far as that whole interviewing, making far as they have that same mindset as you. Like everybody isn't fit to be an investor. Everybody isn't fit to be an entrepreneur. So you got to find, far as again, that family member or friend that's like-minded and trying to do for us the same thing that you're doing, and they're on that same wavelength. But I want to eat with, far as the people that I know. Like I'm gonna be more comfortable if it's somebody that I know. Again, we're on the same mindset. You got to know, far as again, with far as entrepreneurship, with far as investing, like you can lose. So come to the table with what you're comfortable with losing, and like if we lose this, let's figure out far as what happened. Let's dissect this thing so we can continue to move forward. But we can't far as beat each other up. Like it's weird when, again, just thinking about customer service. So I partner with my man John Finkley, who played ball with us. We talk about far as customer service in the world, man. Like it's crap. And like that's kind of one of the big things for me, customer service. And so when just thinking about that, like when we're at like a major chain or something and something don't go right for us, like we don't totally blow that chain off and I'm never eating at McDonald's or whoever it is again, like because they didn't put enough ice in my drink. But when we work with far as like a family or friend, like we hold them to this level of like accountability that really is unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like if the slightest thing goes wrong, like whether it's family, friends, or even just our people, like a Black business, like we hold them to accountability that we don't far as other, I would say far as our white counterparts or any other color, but we don't hold them to far as that same type of accountability. And it's like, why?
I think we were skeptical to begin with. And see, I gave them a chance and they fucked it up.
Yeah, you going in it with the wrong mindset. Going in it waiting for them to mess up.
Yes. And that's unfortunate that we've been conditioned, or we've allowed ourselves to be conditioned to that point where we have the lowest expectations. We expect all the negativity that's been put upon us to become true. And if something happens, that's a trigger to take us back to that place instead of saying, like you said, we don't ban McDonald's if we had some bad fries. We know that, hey, man, all the other times been McDonald's, it's been pretty damn good. Yeah. I just may not come back to this one, but I'm McDonald's.
Right. I got to go somewhere else and get my fries.
And I pray that in this new iteration, I think that the pandemic has done a lot. The minimum what it's done is opened our eyes to, maybe there's a different way to look at this world. Mm-hmm. And so I pray that we give ourselves the opportunity. No, you still hold us accountable. You still have to deliver, but we don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater if it doesn't work out this one time or this other time. Because honestly, I don't see a formula for us not working together and changes this thing around.
No.
How can we, if Black people are folks struggling economically in every area, how is it going to improve by working as individuals? It just not. Yeah. There's a lot of work to do, but I think that there's people out there doing that work. Like, it is great to know. Think about this. Without the pandemic, you and I probably wouldn't know what each other are doing, but we're doing a lot of the same things. And so thankful for that situation. Now we can stay connected, but now it's just being deliberate about being connected. We don't have to necessarily, like, I may never do a project with Brax, but I'm excited that Brax has 20 plus properties and has moved into property manager, and he's growing, he's expanding. At some point, there may be a cross section where we can do work together that we would have never thought of if we didn't communicate. I would have never known what Brax is doing had I not talked to you.
Right.
So we just
I think also, just by having that knowledge and understanding what other folks is doing, like you said, it ain't necessary that I got to do a deal with you, but now I got a resource of knowledge. So again, it may be a situation to where, like, I may not have to do a deal with Brax, but I may be dealing with far as a property management company on like the other side that's managing my properties, and like I'm going through a situation. He's actually a rental property manager. Let me hit him up, talk to him, like, how do you handle far as your business? This is what's going on. Like, help me again, massage maybe whatever situation is going on, and make me understand the situation, what's going on. How can I better communicate with far as these folks that I'm actually dealing with?
Absolutely.
It's just, again, having far as that network on like just knowledge out there and being able to just kind of put those pieces together.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. We don't have to always give each other discounts. So let's say I do that. Now, Braxton will probably be like, man, I play with Obi. Yeah, of course, I'm going to take the call. I'm going to give him my time for the free. We cool. But what if I did that and I said, hey, Braxton, you provided me some valuable consultation that saved me thousands of dollars. Let me pay you. Now, Braxton, next time I call, he's not feeling burdened. He's like, okay, I'll take that call again, and it can grow to something else. So I think that we even, beyond networking, knowing what each other does, valuing the time. You talked about time as freedom. Part of that freedom is that you have the flexibility because you have enough cash flow coming in to be free to move as you want. But if other time suckers are taking from you and taking away your ability where you could be making money, that can be a burden. And oftentimes we feel as a community, not only that we're owed at the grander level, that nigga owe me.
Yeah.
We went to school together. What are you doing charging me?
How dare he?
How dare he value his time? And then some of it, like, we won't even be like, as there's 85 of us plus, then you got walk-ons and everything. So there's 100 of us. Not everybody is best friends.
Right.
So we don't have to act like as if everybody that we went to school with owes us their time. They don't owe us anything. Man, but
the crazy thing too about it is, like, people be so offended that far as they friend or whoever, someone close to them is asking for like a payment. Mm-hmm. They'll be so offended and like will go use somebody else's services and actually pay them.
Yeah. Wait, what? Without a doubt. And it can be subpar service, but it's just understood. I have to pay him for his time. There's so much work we have to do to unwind, to refresh, to renew our minds, because it's pretty toxic up there. I will say that if you just go off the default, meaning you just live life, right? This is what I've been exposed to. This is what I believe about Black people because this is what they said. It's impossible not to hate yourself. You have to be like, man, I have a different experience with myself and with my people. That's not true.
Right.
That's the first step. And then it's like, then you start doing some research. You're like, oh, there's even more untruths about what they say I am, that all of a sudden you come in fresh. You come in like, you can like, oh, there's the lie that you try to put on me. It's so telegraphed, I won't receive that. But man, you got to be awake to do it.
Yeah.
And I
think, again, going back to what you talked about as far as with the whole pandemic, I think some of the downtime, hopefully people used it in a positive way. But I think far as, at least for myself, like being able to research, being able to see, again, from a social media positive standpoint, to see other Black folks moving like certain ways. And I'm like, bro, we can do this. Like, we out here getting it.
Yeah.
Again, that also just changed as far as my mindset. Like, all right, bro, like, I don't know what everybody talking about. Like, we can't do this, we can't do that. Like, nah, we got certain folks out here that's out here doing it.
Out here doing it. And they're going to keep on doing it. We just need to build that network even more. And like you said, not be discouraged because one store messed up our fries. Every Black person is not to be thrown away because you had one contractor that you didn't get along with or didn't do right. Man. So I end with this trick. Well, first off, music was a big part of our interactions at Wake, right? Uh-huh. And it was back then, this was before where we are today it was so easy to get music. It was so regional. I didn't even know who left, right, left, come on. Pastor Troy, I didn't even know who Pastor Troy was until I got that way. I was like, Pastor Troy, who is this? All I knew was the stuff like, of course, you knew about Jay and what was going on in New York. But in the Midwest, we had like Crucial Conflict. We had Common. I come to North Carolina and Trick and all. No frame of reference. So tell me, you're from Florida. You're from Duval County. So that's not necessarily Miami-Dade.
Yeah.
Where does Trick lie in the legacy of hip hop? Is he underrated?
Yeah, I would say he's probably, if we had to go underrated, overrated, he definitely is probably underrated. Because I think, again, like there's a ton of course, like now and like over the last few years, there's a ton of music that's just flowing out of Florida, flowing out of far as the South to where he influenced.
Yeah.
In some way, some way. Again, you look at far as, again, just talking about Florida, Rick Ross and all of those folks now, like they'll still tell you like Trick Daddy, he's with Uncle Luke and some of those folks like grandfathered into the folks who really paved the way to, again, what's coming out of there now.
Wow. I didn't even think about that, but I remember listening. Actually, I remember, you might not remember this spot, but I was a big Jay fan. And I remember when Black Album came out, I was like just deliberate to listen to that. And I remember being on the bus. I don't know what game we were going to, but I was in my zone. And you kind of gave me this look like, it ain't even all that serious. I can't remember, but he was like, Jay, all right, but come on, bro. Like, it's like a religion for you. What's going on? That was that regional. Like, all right, out here, what we talk about is trick, and what we talk about what's coming from that. But we ain't feeling anything like that.
Oh yeah, I was probably on some Outcast or something. It's like, really, bro? Like, how are you getting crunk? It is like, I love Jay-Z, but he wouldn't be like my crunk music to get me in the right mindset.
You can't get ready for the game to Jay. So
Jay over there telling me stories and stuff that I feel like, okay, yeah, I can relate that. I'm chill, cool down. I want something from that to turn me up, man.
Man,
that's hilarious.
Oh shoot! So you and your wife, how long y'all been married, and how long you been together?
Man, dude, we've been together. We got together 2000, so going into our senior year of high school, and we've been married now for 7 years.
7 years.
Going on, this will be 8 years this year.
So y'all been together 22 years, and you've been married for 7.
Over half my life now.
Half your life. I didn't realize. So because when you got to Wake, you were already dating her. And I didn't realize that y'all just started like at the end of high school. Because you see, when I saw y'all interact the few times she came to visit, it appeared as if y'all had known each other forever. That's a good thing. What I observed. I could be wrong, but that's what I observed.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Awesome. We met literally going into our senior high school. So we met, I guess that summer. We met that summer going into our senior year, and we was actually at 2 different high schools. Yeah, man, I don't know. And we was like pretty much somewhat, I feel, inseparable during that time. We managed to make it work off and on, of course. But yeah, man, here we are, freaking, like you said, 22 years later, got a little 6-year-old daughter. So man, yeah, it's been its ups and downs, but man, I wouldn't trade it for the world, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, man. Well, Bob, I appreciate your time. It's been great. We need to stay connected. Now that you're down the street in Richardson, are you gonna make that home, or are you still looking where you're gonna plant?
So we're in Dallas, and we're looking probably. I think I was telling you we're probably gonna look somewhere in McKinney, somewhere up north, because her office is gonna be. She's moving offices. That's gonna be in Frisco. Okay. So we're probably going to look somewhere up north in that area. Ideally, we've been talking about McKinney, Melissa. We actually have some friends out in Melissa, and possibly even like north in Anna. So those are kind of like the 3 main cities that we're looking at right now to probably make home for a little minute. Okay. We be traveling, man. Like, that's one thing with her. Like, she's all about like moving around. She like, for her vision, which is cool. Like, she doesn't, when everything is said and done, she's like, I don't want to live in America. I'm like, damn, like, okay, that's somewhat kind of cool. We need to have some type of place here though. But I'm about that. Like, again, I tell her we got to have some money and some freedom to be able to just move around like that, be overseas and just, you know what I'm saying, floating. But again, I like it. I guess that's somewhat in the back of my head on trying to create the lifestyle that she wants.
There we do. Let's do it. So we'll stay together. We got to get our wives together, Ricky P and Courtney over in Arlington. Let's make it happen. If you're looking to build, we'll talk offline. I got some people that can help you in that space.
For sure.
Stay connected, man. How do people connect with Legacy online?
Man, I mean, I don't have anything as far as with the company, but I mean, I'm on social media. I need to get back on it. I was posting a lot as far as my projects on Facebook as well as on Instagram. Instagram, I think I'm just B-Bear, old school, back to the AIM days. Still got the B-Bear 3221 on there for Instagram. And then as far as Facebook, I'm just Caron Bracy, man. You can search me. It's pretty easy. That's kind of scary though. That I'm the one of you.
You don't want all them people searching you.
Yeah, but nah, man, like I'm all about, like I said, networking. So if folks see something that I'm doing or want to know more about what I'm doing, man, definitely hit me up.
Appreciate you, Bob, man. It's great to have you. So with Space and Equity, all about increasing assets and creating new space. Real bankers for real people. We had a great guest. We talk some more football, talk some more Florida the next time we're on the show. Bob, appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, have a good one.
You too.